Hey guys, welcome back. In this class, we'll talk about the suffixes that we use for adjectives, specifically ing and ed. Let's get started. All right, guys, in order to talk about adjectives and the suffixes ed and ing, let's start by talking about describing places in English. So here are some positive adjectives that we can use to describe places in English. We can say, for example, that a place that you visit is calm, right? Or peaceful, quiet, or serene, right? Like Rome. Rome is very peaceful and serene. At least I imagine. I've never actually been to Rome, not yet at least. We can also talk about the beauty of a place, right? We can say a place is charming or stunning or even scenic or picturesque, right? Different ways to describe the beauty of a place. Maybe not so good to describe a person, but definitely to describe a city. Those are very valid adjectives. We also have adjectives to describe cultural relevance, right? We can say a place is interesting or fascinating or stimulating or maybe intriguing, right? And all of these adjectives that we're using here, if you are paying attention, you can see they end in, right? In ing. And we'll talk about it soon. But just so you know, you could use any of these adjectives in sentences like the ones right here. So the place was quiet or serene or interesting. I enjoyed my stay. The week at the farm was scenic or stimulating or peaceful, right? So remember how we can place the adjectives before the nouns, right? Or we can simply complement a sentence that has the verb to be with our adjective at the end, right? Here are some other adjectives, guys, that we can use to describe a place. We can say that a city is bustling or isolated, right? And those are opposite adjectives that we can use. They're called antonyms, right? So one means the opposite of the other. To give you an example, over here in Brazil, São Paulo is a bustling capital, right? There are people everywhere. Everything happens at the same time. But Lages, the small city where I'm from, it's a little bit isolated in the middle of nowhere. We can also define a place by for it being modern or traditional, right? So Prague is two cities in one. There's a traditional city and a modern capital, right? And we can also talk about warm versus cold. And here, guys, it's very important. We are not talking about the temperature. We are talking about the people or the customs or just the feeling around, right? So London is a cold city, I imagine, but the people are really warm, right? So here we're using cold as the temperature, but warm for the people. The people are friendly, right? And in these examples that we have over here, guys, most of these adjectives cannot be used to describe a person, right? They're specifically used in this format to describe a place. So be careful about using the correct adjectives. For that, please take a look at our booklet that is linked here in our course, okay? Very well, guys, and the thing we've been dying to know, the difference between the suffixes ing and the suffixes, the adjectives with the suffix ed, right? It's quite simple, the difference, but very important that we pay attention. So, an adjective that ends in ing is used to describe the characteristic of a person, a thing, or situation. So, if the person has a lot of a determined verb, right? We say that the person is that plus ing. Do not confuse, guys, the ing in these adjectives with the present continuous or the past continuous tenses. These are not the tenses, these are characteristics, okay? So when we say, for example, that London is interesting, it means that there is a lot of interest in London. There are a lot of things to do. It is interesting. Now, for us, the people, what does London cause us to feel? How does London affect us? Now that is where we use interest plus ed. So we are affected by London, so we are interested. And here's the definition just for us to keep in mind. An adjective that ends in ed is used to describe a feeling or how a person feels or an emotion, right? And it is used to describe a temporary thing. So London is interesting, and it was interesting yesterday, and it will be interesting for many years to come. Now, your interest in London, it will be temporary probably, right? So I am interested in visiting London, but maybe next year I will be interested in visiting another place, right? So the interested is a temporary adjective, right? Some other examples here, guys. We got, my city is boring. You know, in the middle of nowhere, right? Not much to do. My city is a little boring. We, the people, always get bored here on Sundays. So here, guys, very interesting. Sundays, right? So temporary emotion. The city makes us feel bored, right? The city is boring. We feel bored. Again, over here with confuse, the metro in New York City is confusing. At least for tourists, it is. The metro in New York City is confusing, right? That is a characteristic of the metro. My mom was confused about all the lines. So that's a sentiment, a feeling of my mom's. Not exactly something that everybody feels and not something that is permanent. Okay? And one last one here, guys. Paris is so inspiring, right? Paris forever inspiring artists, right? I hope to be inspired by it when I visit there, right? So me, the person who visits, will have the feeling, will be affected by Paris, therefore inspired, okay? Here on the screen, guys, we also have a couple of verbs like shock, disgust, frustrate, exhaust, captivate, and challenge. And challenge is the right word. I challenge you guys to write sentences just like the ones that I wrote about places you have visited or that you intend to visit in the future. What places were shocking for you? What places were disgusting, right? What places were captivating, right? So write the sentence using the permanent suffix ing. The place is shocking, disgusting, frustrating. And then for the second sentence, right afterwards, write the adjective with ed, right? So I was shocked, I was disgusted, I was frustrated. Please write that down on your notebooks. I'm sure that's very good practice. Don't forget to check out our booklet and the extra material for this course, and also come back for our next class. Thank you very much. Bye.